Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Okay, so if you're currently studying for your high school chemistry exams, you've undoubtedly run into these two terms, saturated and unsaturated hydrocarbons. And let me guess, you might have mixed them up once or twice when you were under pressure. Honestly, don't worry about it. It is an incredibly common hurdle. But in today's explainer, I promise you a foolproof way to completely master these concepts so you literally never forget them.
Seriously, if you're always confusing saturated and unsaturated hydrocarbons, I just want you to take a deep breath. You are definitely not alone here. As your chemistry tutor for this session, I want to reassure you that we're going to solve this exact pain point together. By the time we wrap this up, you'll understand the structural secrets of these molecules, and honestly, you'll be able to tell them apart in your sleep. All right, to keep things super simple, here's our roadmap for today. Number 1, welcome to hydrocarbons. Number 2, saturated, full of hydrogen. Number 3, unsaturated, room for more. Number 4, ethane versus ethene compared. 5, we'll hit the lab for the bromine water test. And finally, number 6, summary and daily uses. Okay, starting off with section 1. Welcome to hydrocarbons. Let's dive right into this. Before we can even talk about whether a molecule is saturated or unsaturated, we've got to establish one fundamental truth about hydrocarbons. It all comes down to the chemical bonds between the carbon atoms. Those specific bonds dictate absolutely everything about how these molecules behave, how they react, and really how they exist in our world. You see, carbon is this uniquely special element that always, and I mean always, forms exactly 4 bonds. To make this abstract concept a bit more relatable, I want you to think of a carbon atom as a person having exactly 4 hands to hold on to other atoms. It's gotta always be holding hands with 4 things. No more, no less. This simple holding hands capacity is absolutely the key to unlocking the whole mystery of hydrocarbons today. So keep those 4 hands in your mind as we move forward. Moving right along to section 2, saturated, full of hydrogen. Let's transition into our first major category by exploring the family of molecules we call the alkanes. Now, here's the formal definition you'll definitely want to jot down for your exam notes. A saturated hydrocarbon is a molecule containing only single covalent bonds between its carbon atoms. Think back to our hand-holding analogy for a second. Because the carbon atoms are only holding hands with each other using one single hand, right, a single bond, that leaves 3 other hands on each carbon completely free to grab onto surrounding hydrogen atoms. And because every possible free hand is gripping a hydrogen, the molecule is completely saturated. It's completely full of hydrogen. Let's look at a classic example from the alkane family, like ethane, which is C2H6. Notice that the bond between the 2 central carbons is just a single line. They're perfectly full, holding the absolute maximum possible number of hydrogen hands. This gives alkanes the general formula of CnH2n plus 2. You know that plus 2 at the end of the formula? That is literally the mathematical proof that they've packed in as much hydrogen as physically and chemically possible. There's just no room for any more. All right, section 3, unsaturated, room for more. Now, what's really fascinating here is how just changing one single bond completely alters the identity of the entire molecule. Shifting our focus to the alkene and alkyne families, the formal definition of an unsaturated hydrocarbon is a molecule containing at least one double or triple carbon-to-carbon bond. Imagine our 2 carbon atoms are now holding hands in this tight double grip, or even a triple grip. Because they're using 2 or 3 of their hands just to hold on to each other, they naturally have fewer hands available to grab onto outside hydrogen atoms. They simply do not contain the maximum possible number of hydrogens. A perfect example of this is ethene, or C2H4. You can see that double bond right there in the middle. It looks like an equal sign. Because of that double bond taking up capacity, ethene has a general formula of just CnH2n. Notice anything missing? There is no plus 2 at the end of this formula. That double bond means there's empty space. There's actual room to accept more hydrogen later on, which is what sets it completely apart from a saturated alkane. Let's look at section 4, ethane versus ethene compared. Okay, so we've covered the theory. Let's firmly cement these structural differences right now. Setting up a head-to-head comparison is absolutely the best way to lock this into your memory for test day. Check out this crucial exam memory trick pulled straight from our sources. For saturated, I want you to focus on the letter S. S stands for single bonds. They are full of hydrogen. Now look over at unsaturated. Focus on the letter U. The U in unsaturated matches the U in the word doable. I know it's a simple trick, but they have doable bonds, meaning they can accept more hydrogen. S for single, U for doable. Use that trick and I guarantee you'll confidently nail these questions every single time.
To wrap up the comparative theory, let's walk through this quick summary table comparing alkanes and alkenes. Looking at the bonds row, alkanes have single bonds, alkenes have double bonds. Down to hydrogen, alkanes have the maximum amount, alkenes have fewer. But honestly, the really crucial row here is reactivity. Alkanes are generally less reactive while alkenes are more reactive. Why is that? Well, it's because that double bond in the alkene is under a lot of strain. It's just itching to break open one of its grips and grab onto something new. So those structural bonds directly result in alkenes being way more chemically reactive.
Next up, Section 5, the bromine water test.
Let's see how this builds from our theoretical concepts right into a physical lab proof. If you're taking high school chemistry, you are almost 100% guaranteed to see this test on an exam. So what exactly is it? Bromine water is simply an aqueous solution of bromine, and it has this very distinct bright orange or yellow color. Chemists use it as a sort of molecular detective to test for the presence of unsaturation. Specifically, they use it to hunt down those highly reactive double bonds we just talked about. So here's how you dynamically step through the procedural lab test. Step 1, you take a test tube with your unknown liquid hydrocarbon. Step 2, you add a few drops of that bright orange bromine water and give it a really good shake. Step 3, this is where the visual magic happens. If that orange liquid rapidly decolorizes and goes completely clear, an addition reaction just occurred. The bromine literally broke open that reactive double bond and attached itself to the carbon atoms. That clear liquid, that is your definitive proof that a double bond was present, meaning your compound is unsaturated. But if it just stays perfectly orange, well, you've got yourself a plain old saturated alkane that completely refused to react.
And that brings us to Section 6, Summary and Daily Uses. Finally, it's incredibly important to ground all this chemistry in daily life by looking at the real-world applications of what we just mastered. These molecules aren't just invisible things written on a chalkboard. They quite literally power and build our modern world. Let's look at the daily uses of saturated hydrocarbons first. Because alkanes only have single bonds, remember, they're relatively unreactive and very stable. That makes them serve as exceptionally safe and excellent fuels. They burn cleanly and predictably. And that is exactly why we rely on them for the natural gas that heats our stoves, the LPG in our camping tanks, and the petrol or gasoline that goes right into our cars. Saturated simply means stable energy. On the flip side, look at the uses for unsaturated hydrocarbons. Because alkenes have those highly reactive double bonds with that room for more, they act as the perfect chemical building blocks. When you break that double bond open, you can snap thousands of these molecules together in a massive chain. This makes them absolutely essential for things like industrial plastic manufacturing, creating synthetic chemicals, and mass polymer production. And honestly, this brilliantly illustrates the whole story of carbon. Which leads me to leave you with a final, kind of provocative thought to ponder. If stable, saturated fuels safely power the engines of our cars, and highly reactive, unsaturated bonds are used to build the indestructible plastic dashboard inside that very same car, what exactly happens when we eventually throw that car away and try to break down those plastics in the environment? It's literally one of the greatest chemical and environmental challenges of our time, and the solution lies right here in the bonds of these hydrocarbons. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep asking those great questions, and I really hope you feel entirely confident to go out there and crush your chemistry exams.